Horrid Henry and Supernanny. Oh my god. These shows suck. Horrid Henry is an animated children's television series based on the British children's book series of the same name by Francesca Simon. The series is produced by British company Novel Entertainment, in association with Nelvana for its first series. It was broadcast from October 30, 2006 to May 17, 2019 on OSIT. It is currently available to stream on Netflix in the UK. 250 episodes were produced in total. Personality: Horrid Henry is the titular character and the overall main protagonist of the TV series. He was created by Francesca Simona in the mid-1990s in a series of books, and he was brought to the television by the episode maker Dave Unwin in 2006. He is a mischievous prankster-type kid, who is exhilarant and arrogant. He is much hated by some of the staff at Ashton Primary School, his school, like Miss Spadalexia and Mr. Sagintona, but is a very popular kid with the students, having lots of friends, most likely due to his prankster-type personality. Since he is Series 3, Henry has become a more down-to-earth kid, who is seemingly obsessed with morality. Overview: throughout the series, Henry appears to be a horrid boy, indicated by the people around him, including his parents and teacher. He seems to go to a primary school throughout the series, meaning he could be around 10 to 12 years old. The series has not confirmed his official age, however the show has stated that he is older than his brother a perfect Peter. Horrid Henry usually sits next to a lazy Linda in the classroom. Personality: Horrid Henry is a mischievous troublemaker who has a few anger management issues and is a little bit over-exhilarant, with features of arrogance too. He is a bad-tempered, hot-headed kid with a smart mouth. He's also extremely skeptical of authority, or just anything that kids stereotypically hate, such as school, but he's also a trendy kid who's always in on the latest trends. Due to his mischievous behavior, he's disliked by most of his teachers. Henry is known to be horrid, but by Series 2, he had become nicer, and by Series 3, he has become quite popular. Despite his reputation and nickname, Henry's personality has softened to a more understanding and friendly kid since the middle of Series 3. Such as when he offers to help someone in one episode, and his anger issues are toned down. It is theorized that his behavior may stem from envy from his brother Peter, who receives better treatment and approval from their parents, and the fact that people do not trust or listen to him. As of Series 3, he has become quite popular with his classmates and they have come to understand him a bit more. It appears that Henry is often called a horrid boy by numerous people, which gives him the image of a troublesome boy. Due to his given reputation, Henry is often blamed too for problems he does not cause. 3. Description: Henry appears to have messy reddish-brown hair, pale skin, and rosy cheeks. He is of average height for his age. He usually appears to be wearing a horizontally yellow striped light blue t-shirt, blue sewn jeans, and the usual green and white shell-toe trainers with yellow laces. His pajamas are blue, with vertical white stripes. The slippers he wears in his pajamas have inside looks like a crocodile's face and lime green color. Relationships: parents Muma and Dada never trust or expect Henry to be well behaved, and they always make something with vegetables for dinner. They also make healthy snacks for parties and lunch. Dad agrees with Mum nearly all the time. They often yell at Henry, punishing him by banning him from doing things he loves like watching TV, the computer, pocket money, and sending him to his room, even forbidding him to see his friends. However, they must resort to cancellation or downward recession of pocket money, giving it to a perfect Peter. Peter, on the other hand, rarely gets into trouble, and while Henry misbehaves, Peter shows off to their parents. On the other hand, Dad treats Henry really well in the later series and they start to have a bond which makes their relationships closer. Whereas Mum would tell Henry not to be horrid just for joking or being sarcastic, which is why Henry does not get along with her. However, she truly does care about her son and love him deep down. According to Henry, they have told him millions of times that he can never have another birthday party, but then agree to give him one more chance each year. The vast majority of the time, Mum and Dad believe Peter rather than Henry, being best known for disciplining Henry, particularly with the phrase, "Don't be horrid, Henry." They often force Henry to locations such as his room if he is not well behaved, or they utterly say, "Go to your room now, Henry." His parents often punish him for the slightest things. Perfect Peter. Perfect Peter is Henry's younger brother, who's the polar opposite personality to Henry, and hence his name. He's perfect. Usually, during home life, Peter tells on Henry by telling their parents of his horrid behavior. When he provokes Henry might transform or do some other horrid deed like burying Peter in a blanket. For that, Henry may be punished by being sent to his room, no TV, etc., and for that, he calls him a worm. Despite their enemy behavior to each other, Henry allows Peter to be the chief secretary of the Purple Hand Gang. They do team up with each other against their other enemies like Bossy Billa in Perfect Peter Pumps Up and Rabbit Rebecca in Horrid Henry and the Bogey Babysitter. Friends. Throughout the whole course of the series, Henry's best friend is Ralph, which Henry has a similar personality. Ralph is the richest kid in school and lives the life of luxury that Henry dreams of having. Is a member of the Purple Hand Gang and is often involved with Henry as schemes and plots. His other friends include a aerobic Al, a beefy Bert, a brainy Brian, a anxious Andrew, a weepy William and a greedy Graham. Enemies: moody Margaret, Henry's next-door neighbor and archenemy. Margaret often annoys Henry, while Henry torments Margaret by performing horrid deeds. They might deal with things, but they are still enemies. Despite the conflicts between Henry and Margaret, they seem to temporarily strike up as alliances, like in Horrid Henry's Horrid Revenge, and on many occasions, they have been married or engaged in Henry's dreams. Sour Susan. Sour Susan is one of Henry's arch-enemies alongside Margaret due to her being the best friend of Margaret, and Henry finds Susan annoying. Despite sometimes working for Henry, for revenge on Margaret, Sour Susan is the seconder of the secret club. Henry was once said to love Susan in a fake love letter that Perfect Peter wrote. Stuck-up Steve. Stuck-up Steve is Henry's cousin, whose mother, a rich Aunt Rubba, is incredibly rich. Steve often brags about his expensive clothes and toys. Steve and Henry often come to conflict. As seen in Horrid Henry's Christmas, Henry sneaks down during the night and swaps labels between his and Steve's presents are then opened by him in the morning and vice versa. Steve attempts revenge in Horrid Henry's haunted house when Henry has to stay at Steve's house and tries to scare Henry, although Henry accidentally sends Steve and his mother screaming from the house. Steve last appears in the book Horrid Henry dines at Restaurant La Poche when Aunt Ruby invites Henry and his family to dinner at a fancy French restaurant. In the episode Horrid Henry's Haunted House, Henry has multiple flashbacks of when Steve doesn't let Henry use his brand new things, only the old and broken ones. Besides, when Henry goes to the mall to get Mom a birthday present, Henry transforms into a velociraptor and attempts to harm Steve when he makes fun of Henry for not being able to buy a necklace for his mother. Bossy Bill. Bossy Bill is the son of Bob, who is Henry's dad's boss at work, Tingly Toothbrushes, and he is one of Henry's arch-enemies. Bill attempts to gain advantage of Henry by getting him in trouble with his dad and Bob in Horrid Henry Goes to Work by telling them lies, but later Henry fires back by getting Bill to photocopy his bottom, in which all of Bob's employees witnessed, and Bill ending up getting grounded big time after this humiliation. But Bossy Bill returns in Perfect Peter Pumps Up and attempts to ruin Henry's reputation at school and make his younger brother, Peter's, school life miserable, but Henry and Peter teamed up to get rid of him. Ms. Battleaxe. Ms. Battleaxe is Henry's teacher, who is incredibly strict. She always keeps an eye on Henry in school as he is horrid and doesn't pay attention in class. She constantly gives Henry detentions for never doing his homework and when he disrespects her lessons, and they both have a strong hate on each other. However, Ms. Battleaxe does appear to be proud of Henry on very rare occasions, such as when he saved his younger brother, Perfect Peter, or when he delivers messages to the teachers for them after being asked to. Rabbit Rebecca. Henry is shown to have a strong grudge against Rabbit Rebecca, the most out of all his enemies. Whenever Henry finds out Rebecca is around, he always attempts to get rid of her, to the point where he tried to get Rebecca arrested in Horrid Henry and the Bogey Babysitter. Despite that, Henry does seem to fear Rebecca at times after she threatens him. Hobbies and interests. Horrid Henry notably enjoys watching television, and his favorite shows include The Gross Class Zero, A Mutant Max, a Rapper Zapper Terminator Gladiatora and the Weird Werewolves. Henry also enjoys playing on the computer, eating tons and tons of food especially on a Gobble-Go, and spending pocket money, although Henry never has any as he spends all of it as soon as he gets it, and it is often taken away by his parents because of his horrid behavior. Henry's favorite types of music include heavy metal, rock, and he especially loves music by the Killer Boy Rats. Henry likes to burp and fart. He also can break the fourth wall in some episodes, especially in Series 5. He also shows tremendous interest in collecting gizmos in Horrid Henry's hobby. Trivia: whenever Henry is driven to the point of attacking someone, he will transform into an animal related to the situation, e.g. transforming into a shark in the episode Horrid Henry's Aquarium, that is dinosaur, snake, bear, gorilla, octopus, etc. These transformations are imaginary and are his way of displaying his emotions, usually anger and stress. There are rare occasions when another person transforms, such as a dinosaur. Let's talk about Horrid Henry. He turns into a troublemaker towards Peter. This would lead trouble again, but only worse in Supernanny. Speaking about Supernanny, this leads us to our next rant. Supernanny is an American reality television program, since this show seems to follow the footsteps of Horrid Henry. But worst, their sadistic nature of the show is to be even more obvious and exaggerated than the show than it is here. This is about parents struggling with aspects of raising their children, for example their children's behavior, mealtime, potty training, etc. The show, featuring professional nanny Jo Frost, is an adaptation of the British series of the same name, also featuring Jo Frost. Frost devotes each episode to helping a family where the parents are struggling with their child rearing. Through instruction and observation, she shows the parents alternative ways to discipline their children and regain order in their households. Frost is a proponent of the naughty chair theory of discipline and is strictly opposed to physical punishment. If she and the show seems to be even more abuse towards the adult's cruel nature than usual, and constantly smacking their child abusively even when the kids are doing temporary bad. Granted, this show might not be the greatest show in the United States, maybe due to having child abuse in the show and constantly putting soap in their mouth, smacking them on their butt on the front of camera. These moments were clearly used to wrap things up and set shows, and not to mention, most of the type, these were used for embarrassing and destructing even when disciplined their kids for punishment when they misbehave out of self-amusement in these shows, makes us out of place for them. I would rather prefer shows that are funny, or even shows that are cartoony and silly, or even shows that have more discovery and adventurous from other shows. So screw Horrid Henry and Supernanny, and screw Caillou. Invader Zim is 2 billion times better than Horrid Henry and Supernanny. End of rant.